What is a fact about the human body that not many people know about? Some people have inner monologue, some don't. Migraine pain can lessen from vomiting. Vomiting can cause dehydration. Dehydration can cause migraines. The human body is funny. That the body's pH is 7.35 to 7.45, and if any of those scam products that promise to change the pH of your body actually worked, you'd be dead. If you squirt warm water into someone's ear with a syringe, their eyes will automatically turn to the side that you squirted the water. If you use cold water, their eyes will automatically turn to the other side. N. Wikipedia. Org. Wiki. Caloric reflex test. The human genome is about 8% virus DNA. Over millions of years, various sequences of virus genes have gotten stuck in our DNA and copied faithfully ever since. Most of them are now non-functional, but at least a few of them seem to still work and actually code for useful proteins. This suggests that viruses might occasionally serve as a helpful source of mutation in the evolutionary process. Your brain continues to try to revive the body long after the heart has stopped. In some cases 30 hours later there has been found brain activity trying to make repairs to bring the body back. This is used to indicate time of death in murder victims. Edit. Upon research I should clarify, the brain survives after the heart stops for several minutes. However, electroencephalomagnetic (EEG) brain activity continues for not only 30 hours but in some cases up to 72 hours after brain death. The link for the information is here. PubMed, NCBI, NLM, NIH, Gov, 3,619,714. We have a fifth valve in our hearts that seals up right after we're born. Apparently anything similar to that afterwards is a huge surgical procedure. The human body is amazing. Most reflexes never make it to your brain. The sensory aspect travels to the spinal cord and the spinal cord itself sends the muscle movement signals to your limbs. Humans are one of a few species of mammal that oddly don't produce their own vitamin C due to lack of a certain enzyme. Other mammalian species who exhibit this mutation are those contained in the main primate suborder Haplorhini, monkeys, apes, tarsiers, as well as bats, capybaras, and guinea pigs. All other mammals produce vitamin C in the liver. 30% of body waste is excreted via skin. The sensation of suffocating isn't caused by the thing that actually kills you. You'll die from a lack of oxygen. But the feeling of suffocation is the result of being unable to exhale carbon dioxide. So if you started breathing in pure nitrogen while being able to exhale normally, you would pass out and die without ever feeling like you were suffocating. This also explains why some languages call nitrogen something like suffocation gas. Apparently about 20% of people have a bony ridge on the roof of their mouth. Most people's palates are smooth with a very slight ridge. The 20% like me have an exaggerated and more pronounced ridge. Apparently it's most common in women and Asian folk. And I'm neither, so that's neat. I always thought it was totally normal. Each one of your eyes has a blind spot where the optic nerve exits your eye into your brain. You can't see it because your brain tricks you not to see. It covers the spot with some made-up image of what it thinks fits better with the rest of it. You can test and see it for yourself here. Your brain likes stimulation. If it doesn't get any, it will make some up. Some people are more susceptible to it than others. The colors you see before you fall asleep are a common mild occurrence. There are several classes of these hallucinations. Closed eye visuals, which are caused by leaving your eyes closed for a long time. Hypnagogia, which is caused by the onset of sleep. Prisoner's cinema, which is caused by looking into a dark place for a long time. Ganzfeld effect, which is caused by blocking out all external stimuli. And Charles Bonnet syndrome, caused by sight loss. Most of these are simple phosphenes, but some can be whole imagined scenes, or more abstract fractal-like imagery. People who live in extreme conditions for generations adapt in extreme ways. For example, people that live in high elevations often have larger lungs and different blood makeup. Or my favorite is the Bajau people that live on the water and spend a lot of their time diving. Their spleens have become 50% larger in order to store more blood. N. Wikipedia. Org. Wiki. Sama Bajau #free-diving, adaptations. Positive blood type women can have positive and negative blood type babies without issue. Negative blood type women require a shot with antibodies to prevent the mother's immune system from attacking the fetus if it is a positive blood type. Babies can break their collarbone during delivery. It happens quite often, but heals quickly. My teacher told me that, if it happened to you OFC, you may feel a slightly higher spot on your collarbone, called the callus, where the fracture grew back together. Human eggs are small but big enough to be visible to the human eye. One of the things that make humans unique from other animals is the fact that there is no actual bone in human boners. All other apes have them, although they are reduced in size and most other mammals do too. Notable exception being rats. Edit. Rats have them, rabbits don't. We don't know exactly why we are missing this bone called a baculum. The best theory I've seen is that without an actual bone, only relatively healthy male humans can copulate. Humans have, on average, just as many hairs on their body as chimpanzees. Human hair is just a lot shorter and finer. In theory, humans could breathe a liquid if it was super saturated with oxygen. It wouldn't be easy because the density of liquid being so much higher than air, so after 15 minutes or so you would be too fatigued to continue breathing. The hardest part is getting all the liquid out of the lungs so the person doesn't get pneumonia. When you have a bowel movement, your heart rhythm shifts temporarily due to a vagus response. The reason Elvis died on the toilet was because his heart was beating 200 plus BPM and the quick rhythm change caused a myocardial infarction. People with low heart rates have been known to pass out on the toilet because their bodies can't handle the shift. It's also why EMTs will absolutely not let you use the bathroom before getting on the ambulance, especially if the bathroom is a standard 5x8. 39% of people have an extra bone in their knee. 100 years ago, only 11% of people had this bone. You can calm yourself down by splashing cold water on your face to trigger the mammalian diving reflex. The hyoid bone is a bone not attached to any other bones in the human body and is only considered the anchor of the tongue. Every minute you shed over 30,000 dead skin cells off your body. The surface area of the lungs is about the same size as a tennis court. You can grow a new human being faster than most missing toenails can grow back. When doing surgery where the doctors have to take out some organs, when placing them back, they don't have to be put back in the exact position they're meant to be. Your body kind of just moves the organs into the correct position after the surgery. Swallowing has a cooldown. If you faint at the sight of your own blood, you may have an oversensitive vasovagal response. The theory is that this developed as a survival mechanism, kind of like an opossum playing dead. Our brains make up, on average, around 2% of our body weight but consume 20% of our caloric intake. There are tiny cilia that spin in a certain direction. If they spin in the opposite direction while you're developing in the womb early on, that is how you get organs transposed onto the opposite side of your body. The chance of a natural pregnancy with identical triplets is 1 in 200. Synovial joint fluid is the most frictionless stuff on the planet, unless they've syntheticized something up that recently. It's super lube. Humans have stripes. We just normally can't see them. They're called Blaschko's lines and form along the paths of embryonic cell migration. The stripes are sort of U-shaped down our front, V-shaped on our back, wavy on the head and face, and we have basic, simple stripes on our extremities. Pregnant women have 50% extra blood. Your stomach is surrounded by more brain cells, 500 million neurons, than the brain of a cat contains in total. It's your enteric nervous system. It controls digestion, operates autonomously, has its own memory, can handle its own reflexes. It has its own senses even. It's thought to have come about because of the blood-brain barrier and the main brain being locked away in the skull, a spinal column and nerves away from the critical action of nutrition. It's possible to pull a jaw muscle while yawning. I found this out the hard way at work one day. The eyeball is the fastest healing part on your body. Edit. Let me put it in a simpler version if you don't believe me. The eyeball has a cornea. Now, cutting the cornea will result in much pain. But since this part doesn't contain blood, but only gets a supply of oxygen, it is the only fastest healing part of your body that can heal in only 24 to 36 hours. Believe me now? The human body typically only uses 30% of its muscle strength. The only times where your body will activate full power is when it's life or death. The cost of full muscle power is torn muscles, broken bone, stress, and in some cases, lacerations. Your eyes have a separate immune system from the rest of your body, and in a lot of occasions if your body's immune system finds your eyes, they will assume they are a foreign body and blind you. When you cry and your nose becomes runny, it's actually your tears. Touch between your eyes, then push up with your tongue of roof of your mouth. You can barely feel a bone move. If you do this while your nose is stuffed, it will make it drain about a minute later. Our bodies have the ability to perform their own bypass procedures. My grandfather went in for a scan and it showed a 100% blockage in one of his major arteries. The image also showed a new portion of the artery starting 25 before the blockage and then rejoining the artery 0.25 after the blockage, completely bypassing the obstructed portion. He had never had surgery before this discovery. That there is not 20 pounds of toxic poop in your body at any given time. Frock those ads. But apparently a ton of people still believe all sorts of ads about some pill or another being able to flush some imaginary toxins out of your body like it's going to magically cure you of 20 years of terrible eating and exercise habits. You hate the sound of your recorded voice because it's missing the low frequency you're used to hearing. When you talk, you hear your voice as it goes to the air and back to your ear. It also goes through your skull to your ear, and this bone conduction mechanism transmits the low frequencies better than air does. Your recorded voice only has the air-transmitted sound. That causes the dissonance between what you think your voice sounds like and what it really does. It's also why your voice will almost always be higher pitched than you think. The average adult has 22 square feet of skin, perfect size for a nice rug. The appendix is not a vestigial organ. It actually protects good bacteria in the gut. You can live without it, but it's not just chillin' in there. Edited to add that this is relatively new research. Also, I'm not a doctor or anything, just an avid podcast listener who recently learned this on Stuff You Should Know. If you carry a lot of unprocessed trauma, it can cause psychosomatic autoimmune diseases. It only takes about 15 pounds of force to rip off a human ear. Humans feel less satisfaction when they don't gain anything from an interaction. In other words, you get less dopamine, or whatever feel-good chemical, when you do something that basically has an equal cost and reward. This has led me to believe that free food does really taste better. It never made sense to me why cupcakes only tasted good when kids brought them in for their birthday. Whenever I'd buy them on my own they tasted worse. I guess it's because my brain knows I spent money on them. Baby don't get kneecaps until 2 to 6 years old. A pregnant woman that has a mild heart attack will be healed from the baby's stem cells, leaving virtually no tissue damage. Apparently not everyone knows that women grow a new organ while pregnant. In addition to growing a child, they grow the placenta. A rush of adrenaline will clear your sinuses. Your body will reduce your muscle strength to protect your spine. Stand on flat ground, hold your arms out in a T-pose, and have a friend push down on your hand while you try to hold it in place. That's your control, how strong you actually are. Now, remove one shoe, or put a book under one foot, and repeat with your hips askew so your spine isn't straight. An inch is all it takes. Your strength will be reduced to the point that your friend can use a single finger to push your hand down. A human body can be drained of blood in 8-6 seconds, given adequate vacuuming systems. You can remember how many muscles there are in a human arm with the number 420. Usually there are 4 muscles in the upper arm and 20 in the lower arm. But some people have only 19 muscles and are missing the palmaris longus. You can see if you have it by bringing your fingertips together. If you have it, you'll clearly see a small tendon in your inner wrist right below your palm. Your brain regulates how strong your muscles are. If your leg muscles were to contract at full strength, they would snap your femur. It's why people in emergencies on adrenaline can lift cars off children. Your body is capable of great strength, but it could also severely damage you. So your brain keeps you a weak, soft bag of jelly. You will sooner die from lack of sleep than lack of food. You can live, depending on your current body fat and health level, for months without food. Estimates are that you will die for lack of sleep within 2 weeks. X-rays of children's mouths are nightmare fuel. The second set of teeth to replace baby teeth are already grown and lodged in their skulls. So you'll see 2 rows of teeth and it's freaky looking. They don't grow in when the old ones fall out. They are already loaded in the chamber waiting to get launched. You can poop out of your mouth if your intestines get backed up enough. It's like vomit. Doesn't look like actual poop per se, but it's still frocking disgusting. Humans are bioluminescent and glow in the dark, but the light that we emit is 1,000 times weaker than our human eyes are able to pick up. Source. When you have a vasectomy you actually blow sperm in your balls and your body absorbs it. You basically cream pie yourself. Fetuses have a tail and lose it by the time they're born. Mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells according to every high school bio teacher, are just bacteria that permanently set up shop in our cells millions and millions of years ago. The heart can generate its own electrical impulses, i.e., action potentials, because it is constantly depolarizing. That's why a heart will continue beating even after it's removed from the body. It is possible to skewer a person from crotch to crown with a wooden pole without immediately killing them. In fact, with proper care and experience, it is possible to do it so that they live for a day or two. Some women can feel the exact moment an egg is released from the ovary during ovulation. Feels like a little pop just on one side. Pretty neat. The average human erection has roughly about 130 milliliters of blood in it. while the average rabbit has about 126 milliliters in its entire body. So, there is more blood in a boner than in a bunny. There is a bone in your right arm that can show how much you have left to grow. The heart smells like mushrooms. Source: I'm a cardiac anesthesiologist. The reason it's so easy to break your collarbone is because it's designed to break. The way it was explained to me is that it's like a circuit breaker. It breaks there to stop the shock of impact getting to your spine. Edit. For all those taking issue with it, design is just the word I use. I am not trying to argue or implicate the hand of a higher power. I am not going to change it. If I believe in a god or not really has nothing to do with it. It's a discussion about the human body, not religion. You all just need to chill your beans. Who really cares? I don't. The gut has its own little nervous system called the enteric nervous system. It's pretty darn self-sufficient. 2. Oh man. I love sit like this. 1. The proportion of your vision that is actually in sharp focus roughly equates to the size of your thumbnail at arm's length. The rest of it is just your visual cortex filling in the blanks. 2. Scars are not made of permanent tissue. They're held together by collagen and are in a constant state of repair. This repair is facilitated by vitamin C, amongst other things. Yes, this means that people with scurvy from vitamin C deficiency will see all their old scars reopen into fresh wounds. 3. Pineapple contains bromelain, an enzyme that ingests proteins. Your meat parts are mostly made of proteins, so when you're eating pineapple, it's also eating you. Alzheimer's disease isn't just gradual loss of memory. It physically exists in the brain. It's a physical substance that attacks the brain. Like, if you were able to open the skull of a person suffering from Alzheimer's disease to take a look at their brain, you would actually see the sticky, fibrous, gray physical matter overtaking their brain. You can die from eating too much after a long period of malnourishment. This is called Refeeding Syndrome, and as an example, if you're underweight, approximately 60% of your ideal BMI, and binge on 40 cookies within 12 hours, the sugar, 1,200 grams, will stimulate your pancreas and release massive doses of insulin, which will decrease your blood sugar and electrolytes in your blood from before you started eating and possibly cause a seizure and/or heart failure. If you flex while you have a boner, your boner goes away due to your blood relocating from your boner to your muscles. Jaw muscles are the strongest in the human body. You don't need those detox tea or whatever detox products your high school friend and your aunt are selling. Your liver is all you need. In children under 11, for some reason, cutting off the fingertip from the last knuckle will result in complete regeneration of the finger in 100% of cases, assuming the nibs is intact. There's no explanation for why this happens, why it only happens to children under 11, and why it can't be sequences to fully regenerate, grow organs. It also occurs in many animals, as observed in test rodents. I learned that in science class in grade 8 and my dad called me a liar. I showed him my science textbook and he threw it away and said it was fake. Precordial catch syndrome. If you've ever had a sudden, lightning bolt of pain in your chest that feels like being stabbed by an ice pick, it might be this. It's just a nerve getting caught on something and twanging like a guitar string. But, it's debilitatingly painful. When it happens to me, it only lasts a few seconds. But I've read it can last for much longer. We're the best marathon runners in the animal kingdom and can win a marathon against any animal out there. You have a big flab of tissue that hangs down from under your stomach which covers your intestines. It's called the Greater Omentum. It's almost always removed in any basic anatomy drawing, so most people don't know its existence. It stores quite a bit of fat, but it carries out some unusual roles. In an abdomen infection, it sometimes can wrap itself around it, hence giving it the nickname the policeman of the abdomen.